I was a school teacher from little children from 4 years old until 11 for about 5 years of my life. And this was interrupted because I have 2 children of my own who are now grown up, and sometimes I was teaching and sometimes I was looking after the children in between. Anyway, my boyfriend, Malcolm McLaren, wanted me to help him. And so, because I could always make things, I was able to do this. I just had a facility naturally as a child to be able to make anything. Probably at the age of 5 I would have been able to make a pair of shoes, because you start and you form it, and maybe I could do this. We were interested in clothes exclusively for the young generation, because we'd been sort of politicised by the hippie culture about how corrupt the world is. And we wanted to sort of try and attack the establishment if we could. Out of this process, we actually designed something for a cult of our own, which was punk rock. And punk rock didn't exist at all until we made those clothes in the shop, and then some customers of ours formed a band which became the Sex Pistols, and this is how this punk rock movement started. I started to look at history. In terms of my reading, I started to read much further back than the writers of the 20th century, to have some kind of perspective. Reading is the biggest passion of my life, more than fashion. Anyway, since this time, I've looked to history for my clothes in order to find something new. When I look at the past, it's very important to have criteria of excellence to try to measure up to. And some ages previous to this were more civilized than we are. All right, it was an elitist society and the people were more privileged, but their achievement was incredibly high. And I think it's ridiculous to throw that away and say, now we live in the machine age and these things aren't important. If we cut those links, then you cut the links first of all with technique, because you find a way, I find a way looking at those things, to put those things into mass manufacture in a way. As I'm saying, it's a very big archive that I have of technical development, and full of ideas. And the more you work, the more ideas you get. And I must exploit the possibilities that I have and make them as good as they possibly can be. And the only way I can do that is by measuring myself to what people did before. Fashion is about eventually being naked. And this lady said, "Oh, you want us all to be naked?" And I said, "Well, in my case, can I have a pair of high heel shoes?" Anyway, she didn't quite understand. But so in the end, that is what you play with. You play with polarities in dress. You play with the idea of being completely dressed, imagine like a nun, something impregnable. Fashion is definitely about sex. Even the people who pretend it's not. The most virulent virago of women's lib is a flirt. They all are. I mean, everybody is trying to attract other people and to accentuate where I think the whole focus and dynamic of a figure is. Because we're talking about a silhouette as well. And fashion is about the way you feel in your clothes and the fact that you feel more beautiful in your clothes. For example, I have a little tiara here, which was a Christmas present made of coral from the 19th century from Napoli. It's the most wonderful present because it makes you more beautiful, and the fact that a dear person gave it to me makes it even more intimate. The young generation are more in danger now than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 100 years ago, because what we suffer from today is non-stop distraction. And if your head is forever filled with rap music or television, or you're just looking at reading what's on the back of a packet of cornflakes or in a magazine, you're not thinking. The only time you think is when you're alone. And when you're reading, you're thinking. Reading is part of experience. I am sometimes accused of being pessimistic because I'm trying to be rational. The big crisis in the world today is economic. everybody worries and worries about money, and they listen to economists. And the point is that the depression and the problem with the economy is actually a symptom. Why have we got a depression? Why, are we listening to all these economists to tell us whether we should take a mortgage on our house or all these stupid things? What I'm saying is that if everybody is entrepreneurial and saying, like, go for it, like, try to make money, well, most of them are going to go bust. That doesn't matter, because the big monopolies, big fish eat little fish, and they get stronger. We're destroying the world, but a few people are getting richer and richer, and it's destroying the whole world. And unless people think, we have no chance. We won't be living in this affluent situation. We'll be back to sort of scratching the ground and trying to get enough food so that we're not going to starve or something. Now, this sounds dramatic and people don't want to hear it. But unless some people start to think and stop trying to be optimism is just the last thing we need. I'm a very happy person. I have something that I believe in. I feel that to try to analyse society, if you like, to try to analyse what's important about human beings by reading is a way to have a perspective, and to know how somehow you can always do something that helps make something a little bit better.